Good evening. Fresh from swearing in the new government cabinet in Wellington this morning, the Governor-General, Sir Paul Reeves, arrived in Dunedin this afternoon. He was here to take what might be his last look at the independent borough of Port Chalmers. Kim Haring reports.
When Port Chalmers is amalgamated into the newly enlarged Dunedin, it'll no longer exist as a borough, nor will it have a mayor. Today, Sir John Thorne, mayor of more than 30 years, showed Sir Paul the sights.
So it's 5 pubs and 3 churches at the moment. So the pubs are winning. I'm afraid so.
The Governor-General also called in at one of the area's main industries, the Glendermid Tannery in Sawyers Bay, where he saw the whole process, including rolling to compress the pelts. And later at Port Chalmers School, he did his best to talk to as many children as he could. They also came from St Joseph's and Sawyers Bay schools.
Can anybody sort of tell me, what does the Governor-General do? What does he do? What's he for? In the yellow, please. Look after the world.
Sir Paul could have left the children of Port Chalmers with the misconception that he's the ruler of the world, but he straightened them out on that point and went on to have afternoon tea with Sir John.
The Christian spirit is alive and well in the south, so much so that a new political party has been rallying support here for the next general election. The Christian Heritage Party's held meetings in Gore, Balclutha and Invercargill, and plans another in Dunedin tonight. Michael Lynch caught up with the party's interim leader today.
The National Party is often seen as the upholder of God and country by the more rigid of the country's Christians. But even it has slipped into godlessness, according to John Allen. And Mr Allen should know something about National. He stood for the party last election in Heretaunga, winning nomination with strong support from fundamentalists and eventually halving the Labour majority. John Allen says he can do even better next year, but with a party dedicated to the values he says both Labour and National have lost sight of.
Shifting ground so much, each trying to upstage the other, pinching policies from one another, trying to steal a march, that nobody really knows what they believe anymore, and I don't think half the MPs do either.
The Christian Heritage Party, as the name suggests, is based on biblical principles. It'll fight abortion, homosexuality, family breakups, and push free enterprise, and even a national day of rest.
Because our politics are based upon scriptural principles which have held good for over 2,000 years. Those principles remain the same, they will continue to remain the same.
John Allen's definitely standing. Whether he'll be followed in the south will be revealed, he says, after the party's conference in February.
After a year of disruption, Dunedin shoppers can now take advantage of the redevelopment of George Street, at least in one block. It's the new Edinburgh Way, the first of the Main Street redevelopment projects to be completed. Saturday was a fun day, with the street closed off to traffic. All the usual Dunedin favourites were there, including the Waitati Militia. Among the entertainers, 2 South Island aerobic champions, Julie Anderson and Chris Dyatt. Retailers who've contributed to the cost say they are delighted with the result. Meanwhile, at the other end of town, those who prefer to do their strolling on the esplanade at St Clair Beach have a bit of a problem at the moment. Mark Price reports.
Contractors for the Dunedin City Council are tearing up the pavement to repair the concrete seawall that holds back the Pacific. Over the years it's taken quite a pounding. While most of the wall, built about 1912, has lasted quite well, some of the steel rods that anchor the top of the wall are rusting away and will be replaced.
Well, the anchors, discovered some of the anchors have given way, and also if you look on from the seaward side, you can see where the seas attacked the beam on the top, and some of the beam has to be replaced.
Contractors are working on one big section at the moment and will probably have to do others as well. The cost is $50,000.
Dunedin was full of speedboat enthusiasts at the weekend, here for 2 days racing at Lake Waihola and on the Otago Harbour. This year's Harbour Marathon attracted 55 entries, among them some of the most powerful boats in the country. Kathy Graham joined the spectators.
The 2 favourites in the big 100-kilometre marathon were making sure everything was shipshape. Jim Dunlop and his son Paul from Clydevale were looking pretty unbeatable in their twin-hull, double-engine Mercury and were feeling confident.
Well, if it goes all right, I think we'll have a fairly good chance.
Any possibility that it won't go all right?
Oh, we have a lot of trouble with the twin rigs starting the motors and warming them up before the race. That's really all that could go wrong, I think.
But as Jim also says, in boat racing, you can never be sure. Scott Rhodes from Christchurch is second favourite. At just 21, he's had only 2 years racing, and he's worrying about the engine mount. What happens if it falls apart while you're out there?
I just wait for a tow.
But the real favourite is our own Hillary. She'll do anything for a dare. The double engines make the twin rig capable of 175 kilometres an hour. The boat Hillary's on, well, it's a bit slower. It's her first time at this. Do you feel a bit scared?
No, these boys have got their wives on shore. I'm sure it's just going to be fine.
And they're off. Olaf's Computers takes the lead straight away. Looking good. After a while, that must be Hillary. We've given her a remote microphone just to keep in touch.
Hi, Hills, how's it going up there?
Oh, I'm driving, Kathy. I can't believe it.
Here come the speedboats again. That big, mean twin hull still in the lead. Drury Crane's in second place. 8 laps of the harbour for the 100-kilometre course, 4 for the others. Hillary's still going strong.
We're not doing too badly, but we sort of can't feel our feet at the moment. It's a small problem.
Pretty well everyone else is still in the race, but no sign of that big, mean machine, Olaf's Computers. And he's lost first place. It goes to Drury Cranes, Scott Rhodes of Christchurch at the wheel.
The surprise did happen.
Yeah,
What happened to Jim?
I'm not quite sure. He just stopped. Something could be wrong, anything.
And here he comes, the favourite.
What happened?
You want me to really tell you? We ran out of petrol
Oh no.
on the last lap.
How did you feel?
Embarrassed. Do I have to answer that? I'd rather tell you later. No, a bit disappointing, but I think we might have won if we'd kept going.
Like Jim says, you can never be sure.
And spare a thought for Tony Stevely, who forfeited his place in the race to tow Jim and the rest in. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.